The funeral director's voice faded into white noise as I stared at the catalog of caskets, each one more expensive than the last. My husband Marcus had been gone for exactly 4 days. 4 days since the heart attack took him at his desk, his morning coffee still warm, his last text to me reading simply, "Love you. Home by 6. Mrs. Winters?" The funeral director touched my hand gently. "Would you like to take a break?" I nodded, excusing myself to the bathroom where I splashed cold water on my face. My phone buzzed with a text from my sister Diane. "Handled the watch situation. You're welcome. Stop by the house when you're done." Watch situation? I drove home in a daze, my mind trying to process what she meant. Marcus had collected watches for 15 years, each piece carefully chosen, some vintage, some modern, all precious to him. He'd spend evenings cleaning them, telling me stories about each acquisition. The collection sat in our bedroom safe, worth about $45,000 total, but priceless to me. When I opened our bedroom door, the safe stood open. Empty. Every velvet box, every certificate of authenticity, every single watch gone. My hands shook as I called Diane. She answered on the first ring, her voice bright and cheerful. "Oh good, you got my text. I was starting to worry that funeral planning would bankrupt you. Where are Marcus's watches? Sold them this morning. Got you $30,000 cash, which honestly was generous considering the buyer knew you were desperate." She paused. "You're welcome, by the way." I sank onto the bed, staring at the empty safe. "You sold my husband's watches." While I was picking out his casket. "Grief makes people wasteful," she said, her tone shifting to that condescending big sister voice I'd heard my whole life. "You would have just kept them in that safe, crying over them, when you need money for the funeral, the mortgage, everything. I'm protecting you from yourself. Those weren't yours to sell. Actually, technically they were. Remember when you had that cancer scare 3 years ago? You made me your power of attorney in case something happened during surgery. You never revoked it." My mouth went dry. She was right. After the surgery went well, I'd meant to handle the paperwork, but never got around to it. Life got busy, Marcus got promoted, we were happy. Why would I think my own sister would? "I need the buyer's information," I said quietly. "Absolutely not. You'll just embarrass yourself trying to get them back. The money's in a paper bag in your mailbox. Cash. Use it wisely." She hung up. I sat there for a long moment, then walked to Marcus's home office. His laptop was still open, his reading glasses folded neatly beside it. I picked up his favorite watch, a 1967 Rolex Submariner he always wore, the one watch that hadn't been in the safe because he'd been wearing it when he died. The hospital had returned it to me in a plastic bag with his wedding ring. That's when I remembered something Marcus had told me years ago after he'd been scammed buying a fake Omega online. Every serious collector knows Vincent Cromwell. He's the best authenticator on the East Coast. If something's off, Vincent will find it. I pulled out my phone and made one call. "Vincent, this is Serena Winters, Marcus's wife. I need your help." 3 days later, I was sitting in Marcus's office when Diane called, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "What did you do?" "I have no idea what you're talking about," I said calmly, organizing Marcus's papers. "There's a man here. At my office. In front of everyone. With a forensic authenticator and 2 police officers. Oh, that must be Vincent Cromwell. He's the best in the business. He's saying the watches are fake. All of them." I smiled, running my finger along the edge of Marcus's desk. "That's strange. Marcus's collection was entirely authentic." "Then why?" She stopped. I could hear her breathing hard. "You switched them. The morning after Marcus died, you came by to comfort me, remember? You made me tea, put me to bed. I was so grateful my big sister was there for me." I paused. "I didn't even hear you go through the safe." "You're lying." "Am I?" "Check the serial numbers, Vincent's, reading against the certificates of authenticity." "Oh wait, you sold those too, didn't you?" "But Vincent has copies." Marcus registered every watch with him. Standard practice for serious collectors. Through the phone, I heard Vincent's voice, professional and clear. "Ma'am, these watches are sophisticated replicas. Excellent ones, worth perhaps $3,000 total, but definitely not authentic. The serial numbers don't match any registered pieces, and the movements are Chinese, not Swiss." "But I got $30,000 for them." Diane shrieked. "Then you defrauded the buyer," Vincent replied. "Which is why we're here with the police." I continued organizing papers, finding our original power of attorney document. "Here's the interesting thing, Diane. After your visit that morning, when you thought I was sleeping off that tea, I was actually very much awake. Awake enough to move Marcus's real collection to a safety deposit box at the bank. Awake enough to replace them with replicas I ordered months ago for insurance documentation purposes. You set me up. No, you stole from me during the worst moment of my life. I just made sure you stole the wrong thing. I heard muffled voices, then a male voice came on the line. Mrs. Winters? This is Detective Morrison. We'll need a statement from you regarding the authentic watches. Of course. They're safe in a bank deposit box. I moved them there the morning after my husband's death, when I realized someone had been in my safe. I have security footage from my home system showing my sister accessing it without permission. You recorded me? Diane's voice screeched in the background. Marcus installed cameras last year after the neighborhood break-ins. They back up to the cloud automatically. I pulled up the footage on Marcus's laptop. There she was, clear as day, entering our bedroom at 3 a.m., opening the safe with the combination she'd watched me enter years ago. The detective took my information and said they'd be in touch. Before hanging up, I heard him say to Diane, "Ma'am, you'll need to come with us. Fraud over $30,000 is a felony." An hour later, my doorbell rang. Mr. Kellerman, the buyer, stood on my porch with an apologetic expression. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe early 40s, with kind eyes. "Mrs. Winters, I'm so sorry for your loss. I had no idea the circumstances when your sister contacted me. She told you I was desperate?" He nodded, looking ashamed. "Said you needed quick cash for funeral expenses. I thought I was helping. I even paid more than I normally would for a bulk purchase." "That was kind of you," I said, and meant it. "You'll get your money back. The police have it as evidence, but it'll be returned once the case is processed." He shifted uncomfortably. "I actually wanted to ask, your husband was Marcus Winters? The one who wrote the Hodinkee articles about vintage Rolexes?" My throat tightened. "Yes. I've read everything he wrote. He's the reason I got into collecting." He pulled out his phone, showing me a photo. This was my first serious purchase, based on his recommendation in a 2018 article. It was a 1972 Rolex Explorer, exactly like one Marcus had owned. I found myself smiling despite everything. "Would you?" I hesitated. "Would you like to see his real collection? I was planning to sell them properly through Christie's, but if you're interested in any pieces." His eyes widened. "You'd sell to me directly?" Marcus would have wanted them to go to someone who understood them, not just their value, but their stories. We spent the next 2 hours at the bank, going through each watch. I told him Marcus's stories. The Speedmaster he'd found in Prague, the Patek Philippe he'd saved for 3 years to buy, the simple Seiko he'd worn on our wedding day because his Rolex was being serviced. Mr. Kellerman ended up purchasing 3 pieces for $18,000. Fair market value, no desperation discount. But more importantly, he promised to keep them together and honor Marcus's memory. "What about your sister?" he asked as we completed the paperwork. "She's facing fraud charges. The power of attorney she thought protected her actually makes it worse. She abused a fiduciary duty. Her lawyer called earlier. She's looking at 2 to 5 years." That evening, I sat in Marcus's office, wearing his submariner on my wrist. It was far too big, but the weight of it was comforting. My phone had been buzzing with calls from family members as news spread. My mother, calling Diane's actions unforgivable. My brother, offering to fly in from Seattle. Cousins, aunts, everyone who'd been at family dinners where Diane had played the devoted sister. I found a note Marcus had left in his desk drawer, dated just a week before he died. "If you're reading this, something's happened to me. Dramatic, I know. The watches are yours, but they're just things. The real treasure was the time we spent together. Sell them if you need to, keep them if you want to. Just promise me you won't let anyone, especially your sister, make you feel guilty for any choice you make. P.S. The submariner is yours. You always looked at it when you thought I wasn't watching." I laughed through my tears. Even gone, he was still protecting me. The next morning, I got a call from Vincent Cromwell. "Mrs. Winters, I wanted you to know that word has spread in the collecting community about what your sister did. Several dealers have blacklisted her, and I've put out an alert in case she tries this with anyone else." "Thank you, Vincent. Also, when you're ready, I'd be honored to help you catalog and sell the collection properly." Marcus was well respected. His pieces will find good homes. 6 months later, I attended Diane's sentencing. She got 3 years, eligible for parole in 18 months. She looked at me once, her face twisted with rage, but said nothing. The sister who'd claimed she was protecting me from myself had destroyed her own life trying to steal mine. I kept 3 watches from Marcus's collection. The Submariner he'd wanted me to have, the Seiko from our wedding day, and a simple Timex he'd worn in college when we first met. The rest sold at auction for $52,000, more than enough to cover funeral expenses and start a scholarship fund in Marcus's name for aspiring watchmakers. Every morning, I wind the Submariner, feeling the mechanical heartbeat that Marcus once felt. It's too big, it doesn't match anything I wear, and I love it completely. Because sometimes the things people try to steal from us become the very things that prove we were loved all along. And Diane? Last I heard, she was working in the prison library, probably planning her next move. But she'd learned what Marcus always said about fake watches. No matter how good the replica, the truth always ticks differently. The truth had finally caught up with her, one authentic second at a time.